The rock at the speed of light, the fastest light, what you can't dimension into. The real knowledge of how I know what we all actually went through. The real mind calendar, what you can't even see. The information of a real MC that actually made it farther than anybody. And the truth of what I actually believe is really you can't even understand the dimension within the creation of how I actually know. It's within the dimension of what everybody's trying to find out within what you can't believe. It's like, all he's got to believe, he's got to understand. It's the number one nation brought me back again. You never know where I actually traveled to. It's like a dimension of another dimension, what you can't even mention because the phone ain't even connected to. Within the space and time, when you dimension through within the ground of what you never know, that means understand within the fact of what you can't even believe. I said imagine a phone traveling with you within the space and time, but you started with nothing on your ground. Made it all the way that we can't even believe. The space and time is the most beautiful serene. The real sound of the surround sound system of what you can't understand within the number one nation rocking all Portland, Oregon, and back around the surround sound system through the east and west coast. The real metropolis serene, running everything. You can see the actual believe within the space and time. You got to believe what you can't see. It's the cow's design, but what you got to understand is all the map right up above the world is what you see. USA traveling across, and it's black and white, and it's all because of me. So what we're supposed to do is you got to believe, is we got to actually see. It's like the sign from no one know what you can't even understand. It's like water drops all around the oxygen within the space and time, but I'm actually the one to mention it in within the flow that can't even believe. It's a mention of what you got to see, the sea. Selling what you can't even see, a water drop for a penny. From back in space and ground of all the people in space and time within the harmony, how they needed one drop of what you can't even believe. Now I'm dimension within you got to believe to see how the information could be. The information what you got to actually understand is really the number one nation coming through and dimensioning it in. Within from a mention of what you can't even quote. I need a water drop guide and it's on the way through a golden rope for what you can't even see. Technology through space and time, the real information of a person on his grind. So back to the futuristic dream of what you need to know is really wait, but hold up, now you can't even see. Dimension and traveling within the space and time of the information within my mind of the most traveling grind of what you can't even understand to the fact what you got to believe. Facts of what I know, traveling within a dimension of another dimension, what you can't even believe within a dimension, what you got to believe. The space and time of how we actually know. Dimension within the space and ground of what you really got to find within space and time of other number one, but what you can't even believe, you gotta call them in. What you got to believe is understand within the space and time of number one, what you got to believe. Like within my design of what you got to actually create within the harmony, what you can't even see. It's like within the information that we bring, the knowledge too, the rhyme do, what it do. You gotta be an MC within Portland, Oregon if you wanna actually create the right seed. Drop it in what you understand within it comes back around the nation. We be the most spiritually blessed again with all space and time. Everything within the ground of what you can't even find, the real dimension of space and ground, find within harmony of space and time of what we really got to do. Just gotta be able to travel through, and you can't even believe what we got to find. I'm talking what you got to believe, bringing up nuclear waste within space and ground, but really what are we trying to do? Alien comes down, zaps it too, and now it's gone within a dimension of another actual complexion of what you can't even see. Skin and reality, really I believe what you got to believe. I'm trying to say the real truth of what you can't even see is when they actually go up and they take them, zap them like that, bring them back and back them with what they're trying to do, bring them and rewild the facts of what the actual earth can do within the space and blah, but what nobody can actually stand. Delete, and now I'm in another nation, because I'm trying to repopulate the worlds within oxygen, bubbles of what you can't see, miracle spirits and everything within the energy, the most beautiful color of a DMT gate, you understand me? The real dream of what you got to see, the pineal gland being able to get a drip within space and time, but just seeing what you can't believe, pineal get the drip. Really what you understand, like by pumping up oxygen within my brain is the most pure stuff to and now you got me within space and time on the highest part of my number one gangster's grind, but what you gotta find, miracles can be, miracles can see, miracles can believe within space and time with the real harmony of what I know within my ground of what you gotta find, and really when we in space and time, the real galactic message of what you can't even see, the information through the ear piercing of what you got to believe, golden wide through the tongue tied of what you really got to believe, all around the world wide, all around the space and time of what you got to believe. We got all dimensions and harmony within harmony is what you can't see. I bring them all around the map, limo droppers like that, all around the planetary symbols, what you got to see within the things that I actually be within the information of a driver of what you can't understand within the number one nation. Bring them back, rewinding the fact and understand and what we're doing digitally within the nation to what you got to believe. I'm trying to actually call in metropolized world, what you got to actually see, information for us to be the king, the lord of the door, the light within the king of the event, what you got to see, what you got to do. All you got to do is all you got to rhyme. All you had to do is just rhyme up space and time, and then they feel the energy through a galactic message through the sea, through the telekinesis, through the wire of the light of the energetic code of what you really are, broke down into the holding up what you can't believe of God, really written in the biblical hand of what the information can stand in the digital nation within space and time, how information comes through a knowledge of who. It's like all you got to believe, a cup of ayahuasca for me, and now I can just see like breathing the flame, and what you got to understand, the flame of the oxygen as it bubbles and off the side of what the resonation can do within the feelings of how the fire is actually technology just to build it too, of what you can't even see because you really actually information what we got to believe, what you got to understand. Imagine the digital what you can't even believe within the word of what you got to see, digital nation coming through within the information, the wave game like what you can't even believe within space and time, the harmony on the ground of what we got to find. Purest riders on space and space because we all on the game within space and time, but what's the real harmony of what we can't rhyme? You gotta understand it's a dimension within the fact of what you got to believe. Everything within space and time is the most what you got to believe. Everything that actually get on the ground is a think positivity. The real number one nation and what we need to know is just what you got to do, rhyme all the time. It's real harmony within the number one nation of the game. What you got to believe game. Everything within the sea of everyone, every single person around the globe. The real sound of what the globe could do within the harmony is God blesses you back through within the light of what you can't even see. It's really pure harmony. My harmony is a design of what you can't find within all around space and time, within the space and ground, what we can't even believe or hear. You know the extra dimensions within the air. They go to and zap and take it out and mute it within the trap of what you can't even see. Rewind it back and then find all the digital information through what you can't even hear within how they digitally play it back out through the vision of your mind's eye, through the computer system of what you can't even believe. The real technology, the real information through the sea of what you got to believe. It's like the backside of the moon traveling through. You see the gloom through the eyes of the imagination and the spies. Technology do what it do. You already knew Area 51's full, so they travel them up too. You already understand crossbreeding within the nation of what you actually got to believe, like Native Americans crossing with Polynesians, but really how they do. Let me travel you through something that's actually pretty cool. The real information of what you can't even see. It's like zapping on there. Now you understand technology within the information of how the MIB are moving me within space and time. Let me give you another complexion of a design. What you got to believe is like, here I am within space and time. I'm on my grind. I'm trying to find whatever we got to do to keep these streets cool. You know, understand within the flame of the fuel, from the fire, the resin, within what you can't even believe. The resonation of what harmony do in space and time. Like I was actually the one legalizing what you can't see. Everything like intelligence from the UFOs, from the one of what you got to believe. The number one nation that actually believe in and understand it. The number one nation how to do. It's like being the three wise men. I was the chosen one to go to. But the light only says within the information through your mind. As a dream, as a design. You try to find everything within the scene. It's like driving where you can't even be. Never actually taking a turn until you digitally return. What you got to understand is the fact that the nation doing what it do. It's just a constructed wire trying to find each and every seed through. Because the dimension of the other side's realm is really the plastic of what you can't even see. All it says is just what you got to believe. And that's information through the sea. And really, if we could, static and electricity, bring it to us within space and time for the harmony us, where you have to believe within how we can connect it to, within our arms around the world doing what it do. If you can understand me, hands across America, can we actually pick it up? What you got to understand within the number one nation of a digital movie, that was the number one thing, everybody running their lane. But what you got to believe, people went through a lot of pain and suffering from the game of what you can't even see. As I travel digitally within space and time, and now you can understand me from the digital note of how they do resurrect everybody through, like digitally once again, 23 rocking the nation from the hardest of the land. But what you understand me, we are God's plan, but the digital nation runs it back again, and they can't even understand what the heck they're trying to do within the game. But now you understand me, it's like a dimension thing. We trying to drive what you can't even see, like we driving the information of what you can't even travel through. What you really got to put on, and now you know. All you just got to believe, rhyme all the time to your soul within the information within the road. How you never know within space and time God could be the energetic code of all space and time, the intergalactic sea. You understand me? The real travel number one nation. How we doing this? What you got to believe. I'm a digital code, like a what you can't see. Numerical patterns of what you got to believe. Really the timing of the star system and what it see. Like the top of a pyramid in the eye is what I be. It's like G.O.D. within the information of what you can't see. The real digital God is the number one. What you got to believe, getting down with the game and understanding the fame and all the power within the number one lane of what we got to understand. Like got Ku and got what, and we got the Khufu ship coming down within space and sound. But what's the real Khufu ships is on? I'm talking a metropolis city within the world of what Noah's Ark could be. How else could it actually be within imagery? Like a city can actually claim what you got to believe. I'm claiming you. Like G.O.D. came through, said base, can you do what you do? And literally come back down within the striking sound throughout space and imagination with the city compilation. What you can't even see over and no digitally, but it's all like what you got, mansion block. What you understand, spending my infinity from my land. And you gotta understand there's no dead into the block. What you got to believe, because it's infinity on the information, the wavelength, straight through all the way to the most highest king. And that's all I'm trying to do is redesign everything within the metropolis dream of the father's king within space and time to design all the information here within zapping back with the information to the fact of how we actually do is understanding everything within the digital, what you got to believe information through. But what you got to understand is all the places in space and time is basically the only people on the ground within space and time. How we do is really what you got to find, is what we got to actually remember within space and time. The harmony bring back in the peace, but what you got to believe, all the people around the world is everything within the wire ring. What you got to know, what you got to know. Got to believe all around the planetary is just what you got to know. The strongest people around the planet. What you got to understand, the digital number one nation of what they're trying to re-imprint within space and time. It's just the number one nation, all around the name, all around the plane, everything within the game. We just run everything within everywhere around we go. We got all the backpacks around the tracks of the facts of how we actually pack them with what you got to understand. Everybody's digitally running everything in the game from Mary Jane Land. What we supposed to do, plant the A.I.M.C wherever we go. You understand it's like a miracle within space and time. But what you got to actually understand is who's doing what within the space and time again. I got drones looking what you got to, and you already knew we actually setting up with where you got to be. Apology from me within space and time to all the digital lights within space and time. My harmony goes out to my grind star system on my mind, but I gotta find through a valley of imagination. The complex got to see the digital information through my courts of me within the underground sound of what the minds could do from the Egyptians coming back from a time and who. But yet now they know the real metropolis train from a movie. Really, it can't even see the real digital movie of the real sea of the information and how we travel through. It's like a digital complexion of what you can't even do. All you got to do is understand. All you got to do is understand the real nation, a compilation of what you can't see, like a digital movie of a 1, 2, 3 to 9. In fact, of what the planets are within the design. All you got to remember is timing and everything within space and time, and the harmony how this galactic map can do. The real harmony of everyone actually mapped up too. Space and time and grind matches facts with what you got to believe. Death and drama don't actually help in anything to the king. The king's only design is what you can't understand to redefine the information through. And that's likely putting a map up to a digital film of a high nation, what you can't understand. Digital movie above USA, can you understand the game? But what you got to believe, within we lift and rise above, and what now we see. We got a rocket at the speed of light traveling through the film of D. So what are we supposed to do? We got a dimension for complexion within space and time, and how we can redesign star line and shine within the zap from effect and the diamond shines through. I'm like digital pieces of knowledge or actually information that we can travel in, for which you got to believe through and actually do what we do to find the information within the mind of the most traveling. See, you got to understand what you got to know. The metropolis world of the highest digital real, what nobody can actually see. The real digital buyer, the most highest God paid by the lead. You understand like money is a digital track factor, what you can't see, invincibly flipping, reversing through space and time, never actually understanding anything within a person's mind. Digital, what you can't see.